Hello and welcome to the Let's Talk Knicks podcast, where we talk New York Knicks basketball and other news around the NBA and sports. I am Jason Talbot. Episode 52. With me today, of course, the one, the only, Marcus Chinqui. Marcus, how the hell are you?
52. I was trying to remember what number it was. I had to make sure because it's been a while.
It has.
I'll be honest. My throat's a little scratchy today because a lot of screaming yesterday. That's what happens when you go to a Knicks game.
Happened,
You know,
yeah.
the things. I'm normally a very soft spoken person, so I always tell people the one time my voice just kind of goes, you got to let it out when you're at the Garden. You know.
Listen, man, if you're a Knicks fan and your head isn't in the gutter, I think you know what's going on with the Knicks right now. 6 in a row, and coming off a game at the Garden, beating the Pels in overtime. Wild game. I
love some OT, man.
My throat is a little scratchy as well. Watching Reggie Bullock hit that three to bring it in overtime. I mean, this team just has no quit. But you were at the game, and a bunch I want to talk to you about today. But I just want to ask you, like, what was it like being at the stadium, getting to see the team? I just want to hear all about it, man.
I mean, it's quite a thrill. I mean, it's been a while. I haven't been to a game since October of last year or 2019 when they played the Bulls. I think that was the one game I went to last season, and I'll tell you, even with only 2,000 people in the arena, it definitely sounds like 2,000. I mean, 20,000.
It sounds like 20,000, really.
Like, it's loud, but I mean, it's weird. There's like a couple moments, I think, at the start of the second half where they weren't playing any of the music, so it was like dead silent in there because people walk around at halftime, so it was a little emptier. It was kind of weird. It was like you were in an empty gym watching them play.
Now you were on the first level. You posted a video up on Twitter of that OT shot that looked like you had some good seats. It sounds like everyone pretty much had good seats in the arena.
I mean,
so, like,
I appreciate all the love on the video. There's a lot of people commenting, reposting, liking.
I mean, hey, you love that live look. Could you hear what was going on the court and some of the players? I mean, could you hear Tibbs yelling for 48 minutes?
Not as much as I thought, like, because I think the mics when you watch it on TV are a little bit closer, so you can hear it. There were times I wasn't really listening for him, but between him and Van Gundy, like Van Gundy screams also. So
yeah, sure.
Between the two of them, you could kind of hear it. You heard a little gruff sound, and you knew it was them. But you could hear the players yelling stuff, and Elford's got that high pitched voice. You can kind of hear it from wherever. But if you focus, you could hear what they were saying. But surrounded by enough people that you heard the crowd. There was a little crowd noise they pumped in there, but it was.
Do you think the part of that was because it was such a good game? I mean, the Knicks were pretty much playing well all game. You thought, like, oh, this one's going to get away from them. Tibbs pulls out Elford, and I'm like, okay, we're back in it. We got a chance.
I mean, it got to that point. We're down, 7 with 2-3 minutes left to go, and I was like, oh my God, it's going to happen again. It's
at that point, does it start to get a little quiet? Is that where you start to hear the court a little more, the squeaks of the shoes, and
a couple groans here and there? And it's like, and it's funny. There's like one half of the arena that was noticeably louder than the other one, and you go up a little bit, you could, like, the higher hundreds into the 200 levels, they were loud, and you could hear when the chant started. They always started from that side.
Great. Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
So then you kind of hear like those MVP chants for Julius, and you hear it on one side, and then you get them on the other side. They're not quite in sync, but it goes for a little while. Okay. Like, that's when it was really loud, when those MVP chants are going. And it was like near the end of the game, and I see Elford come back in. You just hear everyone just going, "Oh no!" And you can hear the crowd. That's when you hear a lot of conversation. It was just really loud. You could hear people talking, and it was just like. And I apologize for anyone listening if you could hear there's someone doing cutting up some wood in the back
Hey
here. So
man,
might need some sawing.
springtime. It's
I'll
springtime. It's
try and
all
clear it
part of
out.
it. It's all part of
But
it.
it was, yeah, I mean, it was cool just to be in there. And I probably had the best, I'll say the best seats in the house. Unless I was sitting next to Tracy Morgan, these are the best seats I could have had
It looked
because
good, man. It looked good.
we're right below the announcer booth. So Clyde's like 10 feet away from me, sitting up in the booth, looked completely lost every time I looked at him. Looked like it wasn't, he was deep focused. You know, he was like, he was in there, he was looking at something. But we had him. Rebecca was standing like rough to the side of me because she was standing there like practicing all the stuff she was gonna say. So she was just kind of in the aisle right next to me talking. I got a picture of her. I tried to get her to turn around, but it was yeah, it was cool. Kenny was up there. I think the girl who does Malika Andrews, she was up there for ESPN. She was in the back.
Man,
So it was like,
the excitement is off the charts here, Marcus. I gotta say,
I mean,
you're pretty amped up.
it was wild. It was wild, you know, like, and I captured some footage. You know, I wanted to document a lot of it, so I'm gonna try to put together a little video we could post on Instagram and Twitter just to give people a look at what it's like in there. You know, what it sounds like, what it feels like. But this is
Yeah.
probably the most entertaining game I've been to in my lifetime, and like I've been to a bunch of games, but the only other OT game I went to was the David Lee tip-in with zero point
Oh,
0.3 seconds left. I was
oh
there,
yeah.
but this one, I was like, I don't know, man. It was kind of crazy, and I was with somebody who does not care for basketball, but she came just as you know, just to get the experience. She likes to go to games, so even she was getting into it, and I think she probably was just found it more entertaining to watching me get a little wild, but the only thing that kind of, I wouldn't say sucks, but it was just you had to be aware of it, was you couldn't be like high fiving the people around you and stuff, like, you know, you
Yeah,
want to be
of course.
like in
I
touch
mean,
with,
I figured there's gonna be some protocols
yeah,
in
and
place.
they were, you know, no one was actually close enough to me to do that. Like I had, there was a good amount of space between, but you acknowledge everyone around you, and kudos to MSG and just, you know, like how they are handling all the protocols. Like security was on it, people to keep those masks on. Like if you had it down for more than like 30 seconds, someone was coming up and just kind of giving you the,
Really?
hey,
Oh
pull
wow.
it up. So, you know, they're making sure everyone's, you know, safe and comfortable out there,
That's
you
a
know.
really good point. I forget about the classic. You go to a game and the high five, the strangers around you when something good
Yeah,
happens. That's a really
you
big
want to
part.
interact, but you couldn't
Um,
do it. So like
no,
unless you're Tracy Morgan and Fat Joe, like they were having a good time down there.
so that's a nice little segue into the question I wanted to ask you too. Of like me and you, we've been to a lot of games together. The last 20 years going to MSG. I mean, there was the mellow years, you know, with Tyson and Amari. Those were some fun games to be at. That was probably the only couple of years that it was fun to really watch the team play and see some competitive games. So even with only 2,000 people in the stadium, did you immediately, and it sounds like you did, but did you immediately get the sense watching this team, like seeing them on the court, like it was different for you, and just you could feel that camaraderie between the team, and there's something like special about this team. I mean, they're 4 games over 500 now,
A little
as we
something
said,
in the
six
air.
in a row, an OT win, you know, and again, this is the sixth in a row, a great win. The win against the Mavericks, the game before, was absolutely great. I mean, a guy, I think at the end of the game, Nerlens made that block on Brandon Ingram, and the whole team came off the bench to go pick him up. Like, there just seems to be a buzz happening in New York. I'm done doubting this team. I'm always texting you like, okay, yeah, enjoy this now because the bad stuff is coming. They're gonna start losing, and like, I'm done, man. I'm
I
done.
mean, part of me still worries about that. Like, I don't want to get too excited. You know, we still have a stretch of games coming up that could be tough. So I don't know. But I mean, when you watch even in the pregame, just like how they interact with each other, like you're saying, like, do I see anything that's different about the team and how they interact with each other? Like, they look like they're having fun. You know, they joke around with each other, and it's a lot of young guys too. So they, you know, they're kids out there just like having a good time. And you watch like Frank and RJ and Obi and Kevin, like they're just kind of having fun, running around, playing around, and it's you see it out there with this team, and it's like I feel like that's a big thing for Tibbs too. Is that a lot of reasons probably why they didn't make any trades is because he didn't want to disrupt the chemistry on the team, and
Sure.
it plays a big role. And you see a lot of these guys. There's no there's we have one star on the team, and it's almost like in the 90s when you had, not to say Julius Randle is Patrick Ewing, but Patrick Ewing was the centerpiece, and they just put a bunch of role players around him, and that's how that team was built.
Yeah, I mean, call me crazy. The way Julius Randle is playing right now, I'm not going to sit here and say he's
We're not going to
playing
say it's
better than
Patrick
Ewing,
Ewing.
but I will say Julius Randle on the floor right now is doing more when it comes to the rebounding, assists, scoring. I mean, he is doing everything. And as much as we like to say that this Knicks team, they're such a team right now, like you're saying, the comparison that you're making. If Julius Randle went down tomorrow, this New York Knicks team is not winning games.
Don't even put
I'm
that
just,
in there.
I'm
I
just
hate even thinking it. Like every time I think about it, I'm like, forget I
yeah,
said
but you see the
it.
point I'm trying to make. We love to say, "Oh, this is such a like team that we have here," and every guy is important. And if one guy, like if RJ went down, I still think the Knicks would be able to scrap together some wins. We got when Burks comes back, we got a lot of guards who could fill the spot. I mean, we definitely struggle. I mean, RJ's playing absolutely great, but you can't be if Randall's out of there and Obi's moving in the starting lineup. Like you just feel like everything's going to fall apart. Right now, Randall is the clear best player. He's the clear centerpiece of this team, and
The engine,
I got to give him
as
props,
Skip
man.
likes
He's
to say.
he's the reason this team is succeeding right now.
Yeah, and I'd even go as far as to say, he's again not saying he's Patrick Ewing, but he's the most
We're not saying that.
well-rounded. He's the
We're
most
not saying that.
well-rounded centerpiece we've had
Yeah,
on the team because, like you said, of what he's doing, like his assist numbers, his rebound numbers, how he plays both on offense. His defense isn't elite
yeah,
or anything, but it's still better than it was. And you have those guys like there's a lot of guys in this team that complement each other well enough, and that's what was missing on previous teams is there was like even last year there were no guys that like fit together, and you can see
yeah.
the pieces starting to come. They're working them together in the right ways, and it all starts with Julius. And if we're gonna make a run, if we're gonna make it, he's definitely the engine that's gotta drive the car there.
So lately, especially, I mean, you've been on top of these games. I'll admit, I've got some life things going on. My attention to the games, I'm trying to follow it. I have not been watching all 48 minutes. I've been getting a good glimpse. I mean, yesterday I caught the second half of the game, and really glad I did. Oh man, I was just going nuts watching the game.
I thought
Perfect
you were gonna
Sunday.
miss the game when you told me. It's like, oh, I'm not even watching. I
Oh
was like, oh,
man,
turn this one on.
just yeah. I mean, but so I want to ask you. I mean, I'm giving all this praise to Randall. We're talking about him, but over this last 6 games, especially, what would you say is the number one thing uh, that is leading to this Knicks success? I mean, I'm saying Randall has been great, but there's just so many things working. I mean, there's role players. Derrick Rose is playing great. The coaching. Do you give it to them and just the player development? Like what is the number one ingredient in the secret sauce right now for this Knicks team,
I mean,
in
I
your
think
opinion?
it comes. I think it comes back to that fact that it's a team. Like Reggie and Julius said it a couple weeks
So
ago that
so do you
it's
give but do
we're
you give
a
that to
big
the coaching
15,
staff?
not a big three. And I give it to. I mean, I guess you give a little bit to the coaching staff, but also just the guys wanting to play for each other and understanding the role they have to play. Because when they say it's a big 15, it's like from 1 to 15, they all have bought in and they all get what it takes to try to win games. And you see those little blips every now and then. We lost a couple very, very close games. We have like 3 games in a row we've lost by 2 points. So it might take some of those losses to figure out how to win. And that's what a young team has to do. They got to figure out how to win. You take those losses and you build from it and you learn from it. And I gotta say, it's like the fact that it's a full squad, and I think that's the biggest thing I'm noticing is that they're playing as a team
Yeah.
because Julius notices that sometimes he can't do it all by himself. He tries to sometimes, a little too much for my taste, but when he's got you saw it against Dallas. You even saw it last night when he's got to pass out of the double team. He knows when the double team is coming and makes that
He's gotten
read of
really
who
good
to
with that.
swing the
Yep.
ball around. And I remember those days of Eddie Curry, and he could not figure out how to pass out of a double team. It was the most frustrating thing. He just couldn't do it. And it was like,
Eddie,
what are you doing? And he understands now. You see it occasional mishaps, and some turnovers, but for the most part, he's trusting the guys around him. And I think when you start to, and Derrick Rose said it yesterday too, when you're starting to trust those guys are going to make those shots, they're going to make the right plays, it makes everything better as a team. Because without that trust, he's not kicking it out to Reggie for that three.
yeah.
And
And
that's
also
just,
Lonzo Ball making a bonehead mistake on defense, guarding a guy. You're up 3, just let Rose score. And that one little step he took out gave Reggie Bullock just
and it's
enough room to
funny.
shoot.
Like when that happened in real
Oh,
time, I'm
man.
watching this because you saw the ocean opened up for Rose going into the paint, and I was like, "Don't take the two. Like we don't need a two." And just boom, his first step is still so quick, and just his decision making is better than most guards out in the game. Like that experience he has when you see for that split second that Lonzo moves and you have that angle to get him the shot. I mean, I don't think he would have taken the two anyway because Knox was open on the other side also. I think that was the other read was to get it to him because he was wide open in the corner also. But I don't know if I would have trusted Knox to hit that shot, but Reggie didn't even barely touched the rim. Like that, they knew
Yeah.
as soon as that went up, and I lost it. You can hear it in the video. A nice, rich scream from me, and I was losing it. And part of me was still like, there's still time left. We've been burned before. I don't want to see this. Who makes the play to disrupt the shot
And
at the end? Derrick
yeah,
Rose gets out there, and
yeah.
it
And
goes to
also keep
show
in mind,
like
RJ Barrett fouled out
I
earlier.
was
So
a
I
little
was like,
it was tough because Reggie had 5 fouls, RJ had 5 fouls, and
yeah,
those refs were not doing us any favors as
once
normal.
again,
I'll
yeah.
take the fine, I don't care. But we when it came down to crunch time, it's like, okay, you're seeing who Tibbs trusts also. And I mean, now, if Tibbs trusts you, you have a job for the rest of your career as long as he is coaching. Because you bring in a Taj Gibson, who love him. We both love Taj.
Yeah, how
And
do you not love Taj Gibson, man?
you
Just
bring in him, you bring in a Derrick Rose. Those guys he brought up from when they were young and has all the faith in the world in them. And they continue to play hard for him. And he trusts his guys.
so
Part of me is like, if Elfrid was in the game, he would have taken that layup. I don't want
so
to shit on Elfrid. I'm done. I'm done with that.
yeah,
But
I want to play a little devil's advocate here. I'm glad you bring that up because yeah, the bringing out Alfred. I mean, first of all, bringing Alfred back in, and then like you said, it seems so obvious. I've always said this. I don't mind Alfred starting games. I think that's fine. But when it comes to the end of the game, when it's a close game, playing defense against Alfred Payton, teams figure it out by the end of the game. Leave him wide open on the 3-point line, and then you can collapse. And he bricked a shot from the corner, and
that's the thing. He had that
the
open
Knicks,
three in the corner.
yeah,
It's like, what are
yeah,
you doing?
the Knicks stop scoring. They're down 7. Okay, you bring in Rosen quickly, and all of a sudden, like things just start going back. The Knicks are moving and grooving. Everything's looking good. They go to OT. They win the game. Alfred's on the bench. Every Knicks fan's happy. Every
You
Knicks
know, you
player
know
is
what's
probably
funny?
happy.
I'll give you a
Well,
little thing I saw. It's just something I happened to notice on the sideline. Elford sits like 3 rows behind everybody else. Like he's not even close to the rest of the players. And when he had to come back in, he's like on the corner in the back. And like 5 guys had to turn and yell. They're like waving their arms around to get his attention. He's like, "You have to come in." He's like, "Oh, who me?" And he
God.
comes out. So I think he's understanding his role as the black sheep, and he's
Well,
just kind of chilling in the
so
corner.
when you just made the point too of Tibbs starting the right people, just want to play a little devil's advocate because we've sometimes been hard on Tibbs about his rotations, right? He did make the right move with Alfred taking him out last night. RJ goes off the bench, and so they put in Rose and Quickly, which I think was a great spark. They were scoring. We love when Rose and Quickly are playing together. It's just such a nice combo. And all those things added up. Rose made as you said, the pass to Reggie, and then he made the defensive play at the end of the game. I mean, you could credit Rose to, part of a big reason why the Knicks won last night. But even the game before, Alec Burks has been out, which has been, I thought, was a huge loss, and I didn't see the Knicks really winning the last two games because of him being out. And he's been amazing. I threw some hate at him earlier this season. Again, I'm gonna come back. I'm done. I'm not throwing any more hate.
A little, but yeah.
The guy has been bananas good. I mean, he's just been fantastic. Both ends of the floor, playing great. When you need a bucket, this guy's going in. I mean, he was taking minutes away from RJ sometimes. He was running the point. Guy's been great. With him out, during the Dallas game, Frank got a few minutes at the end of the Dallas game, locking down Luka. If Alex Burks is healthy, Frank's probably not seeing any minutes. The Knicks might not win that game. Or maybe they do. I mean, you don't know. There's so many things that could happen. But I guess, as I said, playing devil's advocate, are you liking Tibbs' rotations more now? Or do you think a product of injury, like Nerlens, another guy who's been getting more minutes, and he's been playing great. I mean, he's been playing better than Mitch was playing when Mitch was fully healthy. And I'll say it, he has been awesome. Former first round pick. I mean, Nerlens is showing up the way people thought Nerlens could show up.
He's not a bad player. It's just the hands that confuse everybody. But he's playing. So are you
I'm having a little trouble giving Tibbs the credit. I mean, Tibbs gets a ton of credit, the coaching staff, but we've been hard on his rotations and his subbing. And I'm just wondering, has certain things happened that it's making him look good versus he's really making those decisions? I don't know. I'm having a little. I'm back and forth.
I mean, it's
what I've noticed. It's not time to be critical, but
something that I've noticed, at least the last 2-3 games, is how he's doing his rotations. And I think it could also just be a matter of who we're playing, but you see him doing more matching up with the other team's stars' minutes and how he plays Julius. So when Luka comes out, Julius comes out. So Obi's in for 2 minutes at the end of the first quarter. He did it last night with Zion too. That's his matchup. So when Zion comes out, Julius comes out. And I'm trying to think if he did it with, I only really noticed it the last 3 games. And you see a couple of those weird rotations where he brings guys in for 2-3 minutes at a time. You bring in Obi for a couple of minutes, and it's why now? Why do this?
Yeah,
and sure. I always kind of had issue with that philosophy of when our star, when your star goes out, our star goes out. It's he's playing fine, play him against the second unit. Let him take over there too, and then sit him in the second quarter. But I still do. Yeah, we were very, very critical of Tibbs. I want to say, what was it, a month ago, when we were going through a bad stretch, and it's what is he doing?
Guilty.
What is he doing? And I think he's starting to, not to say he's monitoring minutes, because Julius is still playing over 40 minutes a game, but
a bunch of the guys played over 40 on the Dallas game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of mixing and matching, and I think he's starting to know who's going to play. By now, I think he knows who plays well together, and I'm not going to hate on Tibbs. I can't, but a couple question marks in rotations. Yes, we still don't really know how it's all gonna, what he's thinking sometimes, but we can't complain now.
Yeah.
In a 6-game win streak, I don't think there's much we can complain about.
Because it's tough, man. I mean, we've talked about guys like Knox and Frank who have really not seen the minutes unless there's been injuries for them to get in there. And for the most part, when they do get the minutes, I like seeing him out there. I like being able to work those guys. And then Frank, it's just when he comes out and is asked to like lock up a guy and play defense, we have him, and I feel like we can utilize that more. But at the same time, I do understand. Like, I've always been a Reggie Bullock fan. A lot of fans were turning on him a little bit a few weeks ago, and now everyone's loving him. And I've always really liked him. And as I said, Alec Burks, like I'm playing him over Frank. Like, sorry, and I get that with Tim. Like, you just
But
guy played
that's
great.
the
He's
beauty of
probably over 20.
what
Like,
I was saying before of having, the big 15 is a lot of these guys, they're ready when they have to
yeah,
come in. I think everyone gets it. You can't really complain too much when you're winning, but it's like Frank knows when he's asked to come in, he's gonna play hard, he's gonna play well. And yeah, yesterday the refs didn't really help him out. He got 3 quick fouls, but Tibbs, you can see Tibbs trusts him. And to come in when RJ's in foul trouble, Reggie's in foul trouble, you got to put a guy in there that can play some defense and get you some stops. And
yeah.
that's what Frank does when you need shooters. He puts Knox out there. It's he trusts those guys, and I think those guys get it enough that they're not going to complain. And
Yeah.
that's what you
And
want.
and I'm hoping that he's explaining to those guys too that listen, you guys are young. We have other older guys who are playing great right now, and we're developing a team. And keep in mind a lot of these other guys like Burks and I mean Peyton still a lot of 1 year deals. They're not on long contracts. Like we don't know what this team is going to look like moving forward, and that's what's kind of scary. I think Randall and RJ are probably the only two guys I know for sure are going to be with this team long term. I don't even think I could say that yet about Quickly, Knox, Frank, Nerlens, Mitch. Like, I can't say with 100% certainty that those guys are going to be Knicks for a long time. I think it's safe to say now that Randall will be. I heard beginning of the season a lot of people saying now let's trade Randall, trade high, this and that. But like, I'm in on Randall, man. I'm in.
He's the
We're not.
guy.
People worry about spending too much money, and then it's like where else are you going to spend the money? I mean, this guy just dropped 44, 10. I mean, he's huge, man. Randall he's a hand like he's a lot to deal with.
He's a
So
big boy. He's a lot to do. That was crazy seeing him and Zion go against each other. Zion's a big dude, and it's
yeah,
just like seeing him in person too. It's like
yeah,
he's a big guy, and for as small as he is too, that's the one thing that got me during the game. We got out rebounded. I don't know what the rebounding numbers were, but
yeah,
just watching it, it's like they got so many offensive rebounds that it's just like grab a rebound. But
yep,
Nerlens comes up with a big block in the end. You get the stops when you need to. That was the beautiful thing down the stretch is the way they
yeah,
play defense
yeah.
and got the stops they needed. Get out,
You,
get out in transition. Derrick Rose is the one you trust to get to the basket. He can just attack the rim, and I'm excited to see how it continues to play out. We got 5 more home games in a row
yep.
against good teams and teams we're jostling with for position. So
It's pretty awesome to see this young team grow together. They're on a win streak. You hope they keep it going. As you said, they got the 5 game home stretch: Charlotte, Atlanta, Toronto, Phoenix, Chicago. Those games could go any way. And what's beautiful with this team, and we've kind of said it all year, even though we thought with this tough schedule, I don't think anyone saw them winning 6 in a row, regardless of who you play. Uh, it's it's awesome, man. Like the New York Knicks,
it's
man.
a
The
it's a
Nets
feel
lost to the
good
Heat
Monday,
too. Hey, that was fun. Uh, it's it's exciting stuff. It's a great time to be a Knick fan. You feel like the Knicks are building something here, and a culture. We're finally doing the thing that we said we've been trying to do every time the Knicks hire a new coach. Um, and I think a goal for us, the Knicks start losing a couple games. Let's do our best to pump the brakes and not point so many fingers.
Don't
I think we
panic.
like this group. Let's not panic. The Knicks are overachieving right now. We're setting new expectations. And hey, man, just smile. It's this is fun.
It's a
Uh,
beautiful day. I will
it's
be at the game again on Wednesday, so
awesome.
I'll Try to post some more content.
Oh man, what I'd
That's a big
love
one
to
too
see.
against the Hawks. So
Would I love to see the Knicks beat the Hawks right now? Oof. Hawks are cooking. All right, Marcus. It has been real. Love the recap. Love the inside info at MSG. Next time, yeah, when you see Clyde, tell him throw him a business card and see if see if we get him on. talk some hoops. This has been episode 52 of the Let's Talk Knicks podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Let's Talk Knicks, Marcus at MChinQui, or me at Jason Talbot. Episode 52 in the books. We'll talk to you next time.